Because Abraham obeyed me and kept my charge. There's a lot of prophetic prompting in these verses, as you see. But there was a famine in the land. And when things get rough, our tendency is to say, time to go somewhere else. Time to change location. Time to do something different with our life, our time, and our world. And God told Isaac, you stay right where you are. There was a famine back in Abraham's time. He was saying, look, that stuff happens. There are seasons in your life, and seasons when things aren't going to be as best as they could. And we keep reading in verses 12 through 16. Now Isaac sowed in that land, and he reaped in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord blessed him, and the man became rich and continued to grow richer until he became very wealthy. For he had possessions of flocks and herds and great household, so that the Philistines envied him. Now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines stopped up by filling them with earth. In other words, Isaac could not use the same wells that his father had dug. Isaac was not able to use the very same because somebody had stopped them up. So Isaac could not just go to those wells and get the water. Anybody here trying to quench the thirst that God's given you? Anybody here going through a dry season and you are desperately seeking the will of God and you're trying to find the water that God has for you? You see, you've got a well to dig. And you can't say, well, my father had a well, because that well's probably stopped up and unusable right now. You've got to dig your own. But people get upset over others trying to find water. Historians tell us it would take 3 to 4 weeks, I said months earlier, I apologize, 3 to 4 weeks to dig a well in the Old Testament times. Now look, you didn't just drill, they didn't have drills. It was all by hand. Everything they did meant cruel, rough tools made out of metal or iron, handmade things honed out of wood. And they wouldn't just dig a hole. They had to dig the hole and find out where the water was. It took them about 2 weeks usually to do that. Then they had to expand the well, sometimes up to 18 feet. Only one reason that you dug a well was for sustenance and life. You see, in that day and age, fresh water meant hope and life. And nobody went where there was no water. But here's the other thing. The process is hard, isn't it? Matter of fact, in this process, it might have taken them weeks or months before they hit water. And it might take you weeks or months as well before you hit water spiritually. And along the way, you're digging, and you're going through dirt and through the rocks, and it's hard, and it's difficult, and you get tired, and you get distracted. And don't tell me that not a one of you has been there. Because we all have. Every single one of us in this room have been there. When things are dry, when we don't feel like God's there. And a lot of times, people get upset with your gusher because they expect it should be a whole lot easier for them. So my challenge to you today, especially men, and every young man, and every young boy in this room, my challenge to you is to grab a shovel. Is to literally grab a shovel and start digging. Start digging a new well. Start digging a fresh well. Because what you had 5 or 6 years ago, adults, is not good enough for today. In this day and age, people need to pray. In this day and age, men, we need you to step up to the plate and be the leaders God's called you to be. We need you to stay alert, even when God seems distant or silent. And you got to dig the wells. You've got to seek fresh water. You're going to find it in the Word. You're going to find it in your prayer time. You're going to find it in your accountability and your fellowship and your relationship. But if you don't start digging and you don't keep digging, you'll never ever hit the water that God has intended for you to find. He wants you to work. He wants you to get in the Word. He wants you to get in His presence. He wants you to pray. He wants you to seek His face. He wants you to grow in the grace and knowledge of Christ. He wants you to become what the world needs to see. There is a world out there, folks, that is lost. Absolutely lost. And they don't know who Jesus is. And they're dry and they're weary. And they've chased every single thing you can imagine. And yet, they're still hungry. They're still thirsty. And if we're not careful, we will end up the very same way.